fact of the matter is, Putin is responsible. Whether he ordered it or not, he is responsible for the circumstances that put that man in. And he is a reflection of who he is. And it just cannot be tolerated.
That's President Biden once again today, blaming Vladimir Putin for Alexei Navalny's death. And for a second day in a row, mourners walked in Moscow carrying bouquets to lay at one of the improvised memorials for Navalny. Now, Russian authorities claim the 47-year-old activist and outspoken Putin critic lost consciousness and died after going for a walk in an Arctic prison known as the Polar Wolf, where he was being held. That's about 1,200 miles northeast of Moscow. But before that, he was jailed and released. He was poisoned and survived. He was warned to stay away from Russia and didn't. He was arrested in front of cameras with millions of people watching. Eventually, Navalny was sentenced to prison for 19 years on extremism-related charges in 2023. NewsNation correspondent Elina Shirazi joining us live from D.C. with the very latest developments. Elina.
Well, Natasha, good evening to you. President Biden did warn of devastating consequences for Russia if Navalny died in prison. And he did. Now, Biden says he's looking at different options to respond to his death, saying that Putin is responsible.
If
this is true, I want Putin and everyone around Putin, Putin's friends, his government, to know that they will bear responsibility for what they did to our country, to my family, and to my husband. And this day will come very soon.
The widow of Alexei Navalny received a standing ovation after her speech at the Munich Security Conference. Her husband, a top Putin political opponent, died Friday in Russia's prison while serving a 19-year sentence. Navalny staged massive anti-Kremlin protests, gaining a reputation as one of Putin's biggest enemies.
Putin is responsible for Navalny's death.
The president putting the blame squarely on Vladimir Putin. President Biden adding that Navalny's death brings new urgency for House lawmakers to pass the Senate-approved $95 billion aid package for Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan.
This tragedy reminds us of the stakes of this moment. We have to provide the funding so Ukraine can keep defending itself against Putin's vicious onslaughts and war crimes.
Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky admitting today that his military was forced to withdraw from the Ukrainian city Avdiivka, ceding the city to Russia.
Do I believe that is a betrayal? No, because I do not think that our strategic partner can allow itself to not support Ukraine.
Vice President Harris standing next to Zelensky in Munich, vowing to back Ukraine.
I'm President Biden, and I will continue to work to secure the resources and weapons that you need to succeed.
And back in Russia, at least 400 pro-Navalny supporters have been detained across the country. That's according to the New York Times, as Republicans could force House Speaker Mike Johnson to bring the Ukraine aid bill to the floor in a matter of weeks. Natasha?
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.